Hello and welcome back to the finals of the two-slot RCQ at the you take it. I fumbled. Blunder.
Here at the Apex Gaming home store in Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Ross Miriam, joined by Tandy. We have one match left to play at the start of from the start of our tournament, and it has come down to a mirror match between two Rakdos mid-range players. We had 7 different archetypes in the top 8, 2 Rakdos mids and 6 unique ones, and nobody could take down these Rakdos players.
Well, it seemed like the aggro decks in the field really clamped down on some of the slower archetypes. You know, we saw like 3 different aggro decks in the top 8, but ultimately the Rakdos decks, you know, that's where their strength lies, in being able to hammer those little creatures with spot removal and the efficient threats on the top end, as well as Fable the Mirror Breaker, and then finally Shield Red. Just a little too much for them to handle.
Yeah, and we really saw that time and time again. You know, these aggro decks early in the day were running over some of the slower decks in the format, and when they ran into Rakdos, was able to stay with them in the early turns and then go over the top in the mid to late game. And so it is Zine Bruni against Aaron Belsky, 2 Rakdos mid-range players, and I've spent the break looking over their deck lists. I gotta say, this is going to be really close. The first thing I look for, how many Reckoner Bank Busters do you have? That's a card that Rakdos has recently adopted. It really helps out in the mirror. Yeah. Aaron Belsky has 2 in the main, 2 in the sideboard. So the full 4 in the 75. Zine Bruni, only 1 main, 1 board. So 2 in the 75. That said, we've got, you know, a boat in the sideboard on that side.
Sky Sovereign.
Sky Sovereign is probably the single best card in either player's deck list for this matchup. And then you got to look at the shatter effects. How many ways do they have to answer these key artifacts? I see 2 Abrades for Aaron Belsky. I see 1 Abrade for Zine Bruni, but 2 copies of Kolaghan's Command, which is not only a shatter effect, but also a good source of card advantage in a matchup where card advantage is king.
Yeah, absolutely. Kolaghan's Command is one of those cards that's been around for a while now, and in any sort of grindy controller mid-range matchup, it's going to not only kill something most of the time, but also it's going to regrow one of your better creatures. And in the past and modern, it's been like Snapcaster Mage, right? But in this format, it's going to be more like Bone Crusher Giant, which we've already seen earlier today.
Yeah, rebuy my Bone Crusher, stomp your other Blood Tide Harvester,
so much value.
Rebuy my Shield Red that you just killed, make you kill it again. A lot of really good options for that Kolaghan's Command. So both players have some really good cards in this matchup. I think it's going to be a tight one, and it's going to be a one where, you know, you've got to extract the maximum value out of all of your cards. So little mistakes could end up costing that player down the road. Got to really dig down deep and play tight if you want to win this match.
All right, well, let's head on down to the feature match area and see who takes down the tournament. This is our last match of the day, last match of the weekend. So I want to say shout out to Apex Gaming for having Ross Mayer and myself come up and provide commentary. This is the finals, not the semifinals, just so you know, Mr. Director. And we're off to the races. Zine Bruni here, 7-0-1 on the day, no losses. Evan Smith with only 1 loss. We have no play from Bruni on the play, but Evan Smith going to start off with a turn 1 Thoughtseize. 3 spells in the hand for Bruni after a mulligan. Liliana the Veil, Bone Crusher Giant, Misery Shadow, and depending on Evan's hand, may want to take the Liliana the Veil. That one is a little tougher to answer, but could be one to strip him of that Bone Crusher Giant, so a turn 2 Blood Tithe Harvester or similar is going to stick, and that's exactly what happens. Back Bruni's way. We have the turn 2 Misery Shadow if we like.
Now, the Thoughtseize from not Evan Smith, but that will be Aaron Belsky on the right side of your screen, is actually going to end up making
Ruining my life. Ruining my life, Director.
Yeah. Is going to make this Liliana potentially more powerful because it gets a lot better if your hand is empty. Now that +1 is generating card advantage instead of it being card neutral. And if we get to that point early, this Liliana could do a lot of work for Zine Bruni.
All right, so Belsky does have the answer for the Misery Shadow with the Fatal Push. I don't know if he has red mana yet. Just leads off with 2 black sources, so gonna need a red source for something like Dreadbore if he wants to deal with the Liliana. Now, Bruni may want to wait a turn and try to find like a discard spell before going for the Liliana to maybe protect it. But the earlier you get it down, the better it becomes, I think, especially when your opponent has no threats on the table.
And here it is. So going to start plussing. You see Crocs get discarded for Belsky. That is a great one to pitch, and a Thoughtseize from Bruni.
All right, let's see if Belsky has the red source and or the Dreadbore. Here's the Haunted Ridge. No harm, no foul. Liliana down. Hey. Now, you have to imagine that was kind of set up if you Thoughtseize and you don't play a 2-drop creature. It's and you leave a Liliana of the Veil, you have to have an answer.
There's another powerful card in this matchup. Castle Lochthwain for Zine Bruni. Going to be able to recoup some cards, get him back in this game in terms of a resource advantage.
But here's a heater in Shieldred, the Apocalypse, and we're going to draw a card in response and take 2 damage. Now the Shieldred sticks. We drew a Dreadbore, so we have the answer.
Yeah, we drew a Dreadbore for the Shieldred, but all the time we're building this graveyard for this Kroxa.
Yeah, I mean, that's just something you're going to have to beat at some point, right? And
yeah, you do have Graveyard Trespasser and Hive of the Eye Tyrant to be able to exile it.
All right. I don't know what happened. The card got flipped out backwards in his hand. He's like, I guess I'll cast it. Hand looks like 2 lands, Mutavault, and a Blood Crypt, but we're just going to pass the turn after playing it. And now Belsky back
now
your way.
we are 1 card short of escaping this Kroxa, but also a red source short.
Yeah. Hive of the Eye Tyrant, number 2.
Not a second red source for the Kroxa.
See if Belsky has a play. This deck is really reactive. Yeah, no threats here from Belsky. We're back Bruni's way. Maybe going to be in the driver's seat. Drew a Thoughtseize. That's a nice one. We can empty our hand this turn so we can start activating Castle for no damage or little damage.
This will put a 6 card into Belsky's graveyard. So once he finds a red source, he'll be able to escape that Kroxa. And I don't know if Bruni has a way to answer that one.
All right. I believe that's a Power Word Kill promo. Don't quote me on that.
Power Word Kill cannot target Mutavault because Mutavault is every single one of the creature types that Power Word Kill cannot target.
You're telling me the Mutavault's a dragon?
It's a demon.
What's the other one? Angel?
Devil.
An angel?
An angel, I think, yeah.
All right. So we play our land, and now we have access to the Castle Lochthwain. And what we can do now is draw a card. I would have liked to have seen a main phase draw looking for another discard spell, but that does open you up to Thoughtseizes or the Croaks activation. So, all right.
Yeah. With the Kroxa sitting there, I like holding off on the castle.
No, that's fair. I realized that right after I said it because I'm a big dummy.
And there's the red source. Blood Crypt for Belsky allows him to escape the Kroxa. And, you know, with Bruni on 10 life, he needs to find an answer quick. Because you can't really sit there and chump block this just to stay alive and then still expect to win the game. You might be staying alive, but you're still falling behind on card advantage. So you're never really going to be able to catch back up.
All right, back Belsky's way. Didn't find the Dreadbore off the 2 draws or a powered kill, and now we're back to Belsky. See if he wants to burn a removal spell on the Bone Crusher Giant. Notably, Kroxa does have a mana value of 2, so a Fatal Push can kill it too. A lot of ways to answer it. It will come back later. It's one of those really relentless threats that the Rakdos deck sometimes plays. More recent builds from those such as Shota Yasuoka at the Pro Tour, opting to cut Kroxa in favor of playing Mutavault. That's why we see Zune Bruni with Mutavault on the left.
Yeah, I think I like just firing up the Hive of the Eye Tyrant here for Belsky. Just put Bruni under pressure.
All right, tapping 4. Probably going to do the thing you said. Here we go. It does have Menace, so it's hard to block. Going to exile some from the graveyard. This is 9 damage coming across, plus 3 from the Kroxa discard. Unless it's a spell, it's a duress. Are we chump blocking, or are we taking 9? I kind of like a chump block. Going to 1 is terrifying. You're just dead to so much stuff.
Yeah, you got to chump block, because if you go to 1, even if you draw a removal spell for the Kroxa, which is what you want to draw,
still dead to the Hive.
Then the Power Word Kill plus the Hive could kill you with any land.
Yeah. All right, Zine Bruni, back your way. Is a land. Now we can main phase the castle, go take 1 down to 6, and look for Fatal Push.
Interesting that he's leaving the Mutavault. That doesn't really do much, because then you can't draw a Dreadbore.
Yeah, had the ability to potentially chump block if he drew a spell, but that's probably why he's doing it.
Yeah, finds a land, and we are now moving to game number 2 with Belsky up a game over Zine Bruni. The quad Bankbuster deck taking game 1, but without the help of the powerful Bank Booster.
All right, well, while Ross pulls up the sideboards, I just want to say thanks to Apex Gaming for bringing me and Ross out to do commentary. It's been a really fun weekend. Yesterday's Season 2 Invitational, won by Jesse Liu, playing Gagari Yawgmoth, crowned a champion, and today we have crowned 2 champions as we're sending both of them to the regional championship. These players are fighting for pride and that Omni Hive Ultimate Guard deck box. That both players will also receive. Can we pull back? I want to show this lanyard and this pin off real quick, if you don't mind. So both players also going to be earning this top 8 champion pin for the regional championship qualifier, as well as the lanyard. Yeah, all right. Let's head back down to the match. Ross, do you have sideboards for me? Tell me what you got.
Okay, starting with Zine Bruni, we got 1 Pithing Needle, 1 Liliana of the Veil, 1 Rending Volley, 2 Kolaghan's Command, 1 Abrade, 1 Duress, 1 Necromantia, 3 Ritual of Soot, 2 Extinction Event, 1 Reckoner Bankbuster, and 1 Sky Sovereign Console Flagship. As I mentioned before we got to the match, really like the second Bankbuster, the Boat, the 2 Kolaghan's Commands, and the Abrade. Not sure I really like anything else. Liliana could be good in this matchup, but your opponent has 2 Croxes, which are great discards to it.
We saw just then, it was brutal.
Yeah, but maybe we want Liliana over one of our other main deck cards. The usual MO for these mid-range matchups is to board out your discard spells.
Yep.
There are 4 Thoughtseizes and a Duress in Bruni's main deck, but I've highlighted 5 cards I already want to bring in, so Liliana would have to be better than something else in order to make the cut.
I don't know that always cutting your discard is as automatic as it used to be. I think the cards like Fable the Mirror Breaker really break the dichotomy of that, because your dead cards are no longer dead once you have ways to filter them. Blood tokens similarly. I think that it's important that you have the right kind of interaction at the right time, and if you want to trim on Thoughtseizes down to like 2 or 3, that's probably okay. But again, I don't think cutting Thoughtseizes is just automatic anymore.
Yeah, that is a new school of thought at this point. A lot more card advantage in these decks than there was 5 or 10 years ago. And that means not only can you discard Thoughtseize to effects like Blood Tokens and Fable, they also just stay relevant as top decks longer in the game than they used to.
Yeah, I mean, each player has roughly 10, 12 removal spells in their deck, and at any point, if you have a Thoughtseize and you're holding on to it, and you draw a creature, you can just Thoughtseize to clear the way, much like you would do in an aggro deck.
Aaron Belsky's sideboard has those 2 Abrades I mentioned earlier, 3 Duress, 3 Extinction Event, 1 Hidetsugu Consumes All, 1 Noxious Grasp, 2 Pithing Needle, 2 Reckoner Bankbuster, and 1 Ritual of Soot. Definitely want the Abrades and the Bankbusters. Not really a big fan of anything else.
Yep. The card advantage is king here, right? So Bankbuster is going to be a huge deal with 4 copies after sideboard. I think that he's got a significant advantage. I know that Bankbuster was one of the cards that Misplaced Ginger used to get a leg up on the mirror, and it's been widely adopted by almost all mid-range, Rakdos mid-range players.
4 copies of that card, going to be great. Also the one with 2 Croxes, which I think are solid in this matchup. Not as many Graveyard Trespassers floating around to easily exile that one. I believe only 2 in Bruni's list.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to be going to 6 cards here, Zine Bruni. We are on the play and down a card. Belsky taking a look at the opener. We'll see if he wants to keep or mulligan. I see a bunch of lands and spells, and one of them's a Bankbuster, so I think we're good. All right, so we'll just wait on Bruni to see if he wants to keep on mulliganing or keep a 6. While we do that, I also want to shout out the stores that are part of the Apex Gaming Invitational Series. We crowned our Season 2 champion yesterday, but we can't do it without all these wonderful stores. First and foremost, I want to thank Titan Gaming from Pennsylvania. They came up to be a dealer this weekend, and they also bought lunch for everybody today, so shout out to them. Clutch Gaming out of Ohio and Warpgate out of Ohio both came to be vendors yesterday as well. We also have the Total Gaming Experience, 4 Horsemen, and the Castle Games. Thank y'all for all being a part of the Apex Gaming Invitational Series. And if you are a store owner and you are kind of close to Ohio, you might be able to get in on this action, man. We're trying to expand the Apex Gaming Invitational Series, so just make sure to reach out to us on our social media. We're going to post that in Twitch chat in just a moment, and then y'all can hit up my man Taryn and see if y'all want to come part of the big game, man. We're trying to get big.
We are indeed, as are these players trying to get big, winning this match, and we are off and running. No action on the first 2 turns for Zine Bruni. We are now on Belsky's second turn, see if he has something to kick us off.
Now, we're in a weird spot if you're Belsky. If you have only Bankbuster to play on 2, you can play it, and then it can die to a Braid with no card draw, but if you hold it, it can get hit with a Thoughtseize. And if Bruni might not... Oh, no third land for Bruni, an immediate pass back. You have to imagine he's just slumping in his chair a little bit over that.
Yeah. undefeated all day throughout this tournament might be running into the brick wall here in the
Oh
finals.
no, after he's already won the maximum prize? The world's smallest violin. There you go. All right, Belsky, what you got? Can we punish the two-lander?
And yeah, I think he's thinking about how he wants the sequence to make a Bruni's Mana Screw as awkward as possible. Actually plays a Harvester here that is going to get hit by a Stomp, so that's pretty convenient for Bruni.
Yeah, could have played the Bank Buster, but I think wants to guarantee a card out of it. That way a Braid or a Cold Guns Command doesn't just kill it for no value.
Stomp does indeed happen.
Here we
Bone
go.
Crusher going on an adventure. I'm sure he'll be back later once he's done adventuring.
Right on time is the third land. It's a Blightstep Pathway. You're going to play it on black. In Bruni now, a lot of options available. Graveyard Trespasser, Bone Crusher Giant.
I think I want to just play this Bone Crusher.
Yeah, I like it. But Trespasser is a little harder to kill, and perhaps Belsky has a handful of removal. No play on turn 2. Gonna play the Trespasser, and we're just gonna eat the Blood Tithe Harvesters, going back Belsky's way.
Okay, yeah. Prioritizes getting this Trespasser onto the battlefield.
It is big.
Limiting Belsky's graveyard, it has some value as well because they are the deck with Kroxa. Bruni, the one that has more Lilianas, so you're not really worried about Liliana out of Belsky's deck, as long as Bruni knows what's going on.
All right, we're gonna go main phase. Pop a blood token, discard Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, draw a card. To me, this signifies either a bit of weakness or just enabling Fatal Push. I'm curious what the play is going to be for Belsky. My guess, Bank Buster plus Fatal Push.
Fatal Push would trigger the ward, so that'll get Bruni back even on cards after the mulligan.
Yep. We could have a really long game ahead of us. I know Bruni has Sky Sovereign in hand, so if we draw 2 more lands, that could be a really powerful pool. Here is the Fatal Push. We do have to discard if we want it to resolve. That ward, a very powerful effect on Graveyard Trespasser, very punishing for those people trying to interact with it.
Yeah, it is just a good mid-range card. Never really found a home in Standard, but has found...
What are you talking about? It's in Standard right now, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't really see a lot of play. It's like very mediocre.
Wait, is it in Standard? What set is it in? Yeah. Yeah. But I haven't played Standard in quite some time. I'm going to start playing Standard pretty soon. I was pretty sure it was.
Yeah. Standard is too many things that play well to the battlefield.
I mean, Graveyard Trespasser is in the Rakdos deck, and it's good. But Corpse Appraiser is better. I've been really digging the Grixis build with Corpse Appraiser lately. There's a Bang Buster from Belsky. And a Kolaghan's Command with no value, and this is Belsky's worst nightmare. This is why he didn't play it on turn 2. He didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, and instead ended up having to play it into the Shatter effect anyway, getting max punished. But now, Bruni looking pretty good. He's not under any pressure, still stuck on 3 lands, but has generated a lot of card advantage, has a Dreadbore in hand to deal with his Shieldred, and will eventually take this game over once he starts drawing a few lands. And there, I believe, is a Castle Lock domain.
All right, so can go Dreadbore on the Shieldred. Does he have a way to use the other 2 mana? Instead of doing that, just goes for Graveyard Trespasser. Going to go ahead and eat another card out of the graveyard. Maybe he wants to be able to use maximum mana efficiency, not too worried about taking 2 more damage from the Shieldred.
Yeah. Maybe he realizes that he's ahead and wants to start pushing damage as quickly as possible, even if that means leaving the Shieldred on the battlefield for a little longer.
All right.
Could also mean his hand is full of 3-drops and wants to get to land 5 so he can double spell with the Dreadbore.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. All right, so Graveyard Trespasser going to eat a useless Kolaghan's Command in the graveyard. We're going to go back to Bruni's way, and we're going to take 2 more damage. Down to 13, we have Dreadbore for the Shieldred. Do we have another land? No, but we do have a Fatal Push. So, given the right set of sequences here, we could just see all the creatures evaporate from the battlefield, depending on if Belsky has another Fatal Push and wants to use it. We're going to go ahead and attack. We're going to target the Bank Buster, and we'll see if Belsky wants to block. Takes 3.
Elsie's got the Shieldred. They're the beatdown, so happy to take 3 here and force Bruni to interact directly with his creatures.
All right, Shieldred down. We'll see if Belsky wants to tempo push at the end of turn if he's got it. If he does, though, Bruni is going to tempo push as well to clear out that Graveyard Trespasser, I'm pretty sure. But no push, and the chain does not happen, and we're back Belsky's way.
Little awkward to Dreadbore post-combat. Could have tried to do that pre-combat and then exile the Shieldred yourself with the Trespasser. You get the Drain Life trigger. Instead, you're giving it to Belsky.
All right, so Belsky, in the face of the Trespasser and, just in general, not having a whole lot of Graveyard Recursion, going to go ahead and eat his own Shieldred and gain a life. Plays another Graveyard Trespasser, and honestly, a 5th land here for Bruni is kind of lights out. That freaking Sky Sovereign hand is really good against these 3 toughness creatures, but just misses land again. Going to play Bone Man.
Yeah, just try to trade with these in combat, I would imagine.
Yeah, and if you're Bruni, you're pretty happy trading both creatures for both. You're at 9, your enemy's at 17, and you have the Sky Sovereign to clean up future creatures. You just want to make sure you're around long enough to get value.
Interesting. Braid on the Trespasser instead of the Bone Crusher. Has to discard a Swamp. Okay, has removal for both.
Okay, well, both creatures cleared. And now Belsky going to rumble in.
This is actually an attack for 8.
Yeah, Bruni does have a push, so he can take care of one of them. You're going to have to discard to the ward.
Now, discards a Bone Crusher. Has another push in hand, it looks like, and maybe another Bone Crusher.
All right.
But it really just wants to draw land 5 here for the boat. And honestly, I want him to do that too, because I want to make the boat noise.
We got to do it at the same time. Here it comes. It's land. Oh, Blackcleave Cliffs. Stone Cold Killer Blackcleave Cliffs. Ruining tournaments, ruining lives.
And we might even want to hold that in hand. Because we're playing Bone Crusher, we can trade. If a removal spell is used on Bone Crusher, you can Fatal Push the Trespasser, but you don't want to discard the boat to the ward trigger. Really awkward. Yeah, decides to hold
heads up play. I would not expect many people to make the play of not playing the Blackcleave Cliff. So heads up fine from Ross, and Bruni follows suit. An attack with Trespasser. We're going to eat something. We're going to go for power kill.
Very smart here from Belsky. Attacks first. Make sure he gets the trigger before turning on Revolt.
Nice. Nice play. So Bone Crusher gets exiled. Bruni's going to go to 4. Powered kill.
Yeah.
Dealing 2 off the Bone Crusher. But before damage, Bruni going to fire off this Fatal Push, discarding Blackcleave Cliffs. And we're kind of at parity, but Bruni has a Sky Sovereign in hand. And with a 5th land, it could be brutal. But there's Hive of the Eye Tyrant. This land's going to be tough to deal with.
Wow. Bruni just stuck on 4 mana this entire game with the best card in his deck for the matchup in his hand, never able to deploy it. And at this point, needs to draw a removal spell for Hive, and a lot of his Fatal Pushes are gone.
Yeah, he's really tanking here. Going to go ahead and crack the blood, discarding the Sky Sovereign, looking for a way to kill the Hive because it's threatening lethal over 2 attacks, but also just dealing 3 puts him to 1, and then you're fading every Bone Crusher Giant for the end of time.
Yeah, and you want to do that main phase because if Bruni draws his own Hive or Den, either of those lands could play it, and then next turn potentially have 2 blockers for the Hive of the Eye Tyrant.
Good call on that. Okay, 1 life for Zine. Bruni, Aaron Belsky on the precipice of greatness. We're going to attack for 3. That's a show of strength. He must have drawn something really nice. Passes the turn. Oh, I have nothing. Yeah. Oh, so sorry. It's night. It becomes night.
I saw a Fable in hand, so Bruni could have presented 2 blockers, and that means his hand has to be a removal spell. The other card. Looks like a power word kill. Yep, and there it is. And now you got to figure with a useless land for Belsky, only 1 card in hand, Bruni's looking pretty good. We got a Mutavault. We got a Fable. We can attack Belsky down to 9.
Yeah,
we gotta fade some draws. We gotta fade Children. We gotta fade Bone Crusher Giant.
But we're looking pretty good.
But yeah, we're gonna close this game pretty quickly and might be moving to a game 3.
Okay, back Belsky's way. Let's see if he can peel Bone Crusher or Shieldred to end the game. Trying to figure out how to tap the mana better, I guess. I'm not really sure what he has to do with his mana otherwise.
And Bruni also, with the way he's played this, has to fade Croxa.
Okay.
Just
had the Mutavault in hand, so I'm not holding the Fable. So
yeah, I don't think you should hold the Fable there. Ooh, there's a castle.
All right, and a Bank Buster. We're going to main phase draw for that. Looking for Stomp. Stupidest Stomp. Doesn't look like he found it yet. Maybe a removal spell to slow the damage. We'll see. Belsky in the tank. Passes turn.
Okay. This is going to be an attack for 7. There's another Fable. I almost want to just hold a spell for Croxa, but at this point...
That's what he's doing.
Belsky has triple black, triple red, and I think enough cards to play and escape.
Oh,
so you can't beat a Croxa.
Okay, so just going to go ahead and play another Fable. Chose not to discard.
Yeah, so now you just play it, but this is still not going to be lethal next turn, so...
No, the life totals needed updating. So we're down to 5 life. We have 6 power on the table. Belsky has a Bank Buster and a Draw Step. Let's see if he can find a way to kill. Draws a card.
Are they good?
He cracked a smile. Maybe it's a sour smile.
Oh.
What do you got? Is it all lands? 2 mana? It's a Dreadbore. So we got 1 more Draw Step. Now we're still attacking for 4, so Bone Crusher of our own could be good. We're going to flip the Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
We're going to get another draw off the second chapter of the second Fable, which is a Haunted Ridge.
All right. Doesn't look like he
Is
found
that
a kill.
Shieldred? That's a Shieldred. That's good enough because we got a treasure. We can play the Shieldred post-combat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is. And that should do it.
That's sick. Seeing Bruni takes game number 2.
If we draw Bone Crusher, we can respond to the Shieldred trigger. Oh.
Oh, maybe he doesn't know.
Yeah. I don't think it was a Bone Crusher. I think that was a Blightstep Pathway on top.
Well, we can draw for turn, trigger on the stack. Draw a card with Bank Buster, trigger on the stack. Oh, are either of them Bone Crusher Giant? Kill you. It is a trigger, chat. It is not a static effect.
Okay, and that means Zine Bruni takes game 2, and we are moving on to a deciding game in the finals here in this Rakdos mid-range mirror. Very swingy game. Bruni able to find the removal spell for the Hive of the Eye Tyrant at the last possible moment. Belsky not able to find anything to close the game out, and gonna have to win another game, though this time on the play.
Yeah. Now, play draw, not as big of a deal in the mid-range matchups, you know, just more about raw efficiency and cards just getting maximum value. I actually know that some players who play Rakdos Mirrors in the past have chosen to draw. Edgar Maguiage, notable Amulet Chad, you know, he's been playing a lot of Rakdos over the last few months. He played that at the Canadian Regional Championship at the end of last year and was advocating to choose to draw in the Rakdos Mirrors.
You know what I think about people who choose to draw? As
That
someone
they're
who
better than you?
As someone who used
That's
to
what I
do it,
think.
I think that if you choose to draw, you're stuck in 2008.
I don't think that's true, man. I chose to draw in some testing with Rakdos Mirrors, and it felt good. Like, yes, you can fall behind, but you have so much removal that trades up on mana, and hitting your land drops just matters so much. And even with Reckoner Bankbuster hanging around, like, you just have so many ways to gain card advantage, and like, you just want every single card that you play to work. And in order to do that, you have to hit your land drops, and being on the draw helps ensure that you hit all your land drops.
I think it's easy to hit your land drops if you just put an appropriate number of lands in your deck.
I am not afraid of losing the die roll against someone playing Thoughtseize. I'm sorry, that's just not something that I'm afraid of, unless they're following it up with 2 1-drop 2/1 black creatures.
Well, I think it is very easy in the modern era of Magic to turn the tempo advantage from being on the play into card advantage by forcing your opponent to make substandard plays.
Yeah, maybe just turn 3 Fable on the play is just too strong or whatever, but I don't know, man. I just know that when a smart person says, I've been taking the draw in this matchup, and they win a bunch, I listen. Doesn't mean that they're right. It just means that maybe they're right, and maybe you're wrong. And it's good to question yourself all the time.
I always do.
Do you? Do you? All I hear from the other room when we're hanging out at your house is, I'm right, I'm right.
I don't think you've ever heard me say that ever. I think you imagined me saying that.
Yeah.
And now you're just lying to
okay.
500 people watching this right now.
Wow, we have 500 viewers? That's
I have
crap.
no idea how many we have.
620?
620 viewers that you were just bold-faced lying to right now.
All right.
The temerity.
I don't think it's bold-faced lying. I think it's bald-faced lying, actually.
Yeah, I wasn't sure which one, so I tried to kind of skew the vowels between the two.
I'm right. Got him. All right.
I'm at the age where sometimes I forget which idiom is which.
Well, I don't forget which idiot is which.
Okay, you can finish this yourself.
See you later.
I'm going
All right,
home.
Taryn, you want to hop in the booth? Can you multitask?
I'll be at the wings, etc.
All right. We got the finals here starting on your right. Aaron Belsky, Rakdos Midrange. Zine Bruni on your left. Rakdos Midrange 1-1. Neither player with a turn 1 play. We'll see who the first is to take a relevant game action. Or tap past the turn.
Aaron Belsky jealous of Bruni's tapped Blood Crypt.
Blackleaf Cliffs is the play for Bruni. Let's see if he wants to deploy. The Blood Tithe Harvester does. Does Belsky have the answer? We'll see in just a minute. And a Fatal Push comes down.
But trading the Blood Tithe Harvester for a Fatal Push, perfectly fine. You just don't want to trade that card for a Stomp.
All right. Going to play Graveyard Trespasser here. Eat the Blood Tithe Harvester. Be a little annoying to remove. Put a little bit of pressure on Bruni. And back his way. 3 mana available. See what he wants to go for. Liliana minus. That's a clean answer to the Graveyard Trespasser.
Yeah. We've seen Trespasser be very good in both of these first 2 games, and Bruni is the one with the only clean answer to it in these Liliana of the Veils, and finally it lines up for him, and I think that is going to be huge in this deciding game.
Yeah, I agree. Normally, you're counting on Graveyard Trespasser to be a 2-for-1. It's a relatively weak attacker, it just attacks for 3, sometimes it gains some life or whatever. As a mid-range player, sometimes you have effects of your own like Shieldred that can gain life, and when you're not under that much attack pressure, you can kind of let it go unfettered for a few turns. But if you can cleanly answer it, it's obviously great.
Yeah, I do see Fables in both players' hands. We might see a flurry of those entering the battlefield. I think I see the boat in Bruni's hand too. Oh yeah, there it is.
The boat man cometh.
I think it's coming, chat.
Well, he's pretty light on lands, it looks like.
Yeah, Fable will fix that.
That's true. All right. Belsky really in the tank because this Liliana of the Veil is going to threaten to start ticking up and chew up the rest of his hand, so he knows he's going to be light on resources for the rest of the game if he doesn't kill it. Might have bone pressure to stomp, and does. Takes it out.
Okay, so decides to deal with it early rather than try to figure out what sequence of cards he wants to discard. I think that's smart.
All right, no 4th land, but a Fable of the Mirrorbreaker off the top, and that's going to allow Zine Bruni over the next few turns, hopefully, to find those lands so we can deploy the boat.
I want a boat. I want a boat.
Well, you know how to do that, right? It's capitalism, exploitation. That's how you get rich enough to buy your own boat, Ross.
Well, there is an Abrade on the Goblin Shaman token. Another trade that I think favors Bruni. Abrade is one of the few cards that answers Sky Sovereign, a few cards that answers Reckoner Bankbuster, and there is trading for half of a Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Yeah, but it's important to use your mana efficiently and leverage battlefield advantage. And when you're going to just play Fable on your next turn, you're probably going to discard most of your dead cards anyway. And you just want to make sure that you're fluidly using your mana every turn. But I agree, it has value, so maybe holding it is correct.
You generally want to deal with that Goblin Shaman, especially with Bruni on few lands. It's just that the removal hasn't lined up well for Belsky in the early turns.
All right, so it looks like we're thumbing through what to discard to Chapter 2.
Hoping to find some lands. Hoping to land a boat.
All right. Really thinking on it. Only discards 1. It's the Blood Tithe Harvester.
Interesting. Does find a Mutavault, so that is a very solid draw.
Now we can stomp the Goblin token. It's a pretty clean answer to the front half of Fable.
Much better card to use to answer Goblin Shaman than Abrade. So another trade that favors Zine Bruni here. So even though he's down on lands, I like how these early turns have gone for him.
All right, Chapter 2 for Belsky. Take a look at the hand and see if he wants to discard anything. Doesn't seem like it.
I'm not sure what the leftovers in Belsky's hand are.
Yeah, playing pretty tight, close to the vest. Decides not to discard anything. Gonna play another Fable of the Mirrorbreaker.
Yeah, well,
classic.
Best card, never discard it.
Yeah, of course. Why would you discard it when you could simply cast it?
I think we might see a power word kill. No. I
Well,
definitely see a Graveyard Trespasser in Bruni's hand.
I wanted to keep
land
the
5.
Yes.
There's land 5.
All right, Ross, it's time. Wait for it. Wait for it. Boom. Here it comes. Boom, boom. No boat time. Sky Sovereign comes down, kills the goblin.
It's boat time, chat. We're
That
boating.
Abrade. That Abrade looking pretty useful right now. You know what I'm saying? In the graveyard.
Yeah. It's starting to warm up here. We're almost at springtime. Time to break out your boat shoes.
Boat shoes?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
Shoes specifically to wear while on a boat.
People wear them in other cases, but the style, evolved from people wearing them on.
Are you talking about like when you wear shoes like that are waterproof? Or are you talking about like cool looking shoes that you wear while you're hanging out on a boat?
It's a style of shoe, Todd.
No, I didn't know. I'm sorry. Now you're just showing me a picture.
Yeah,
Chad, you can't see the picture, but he's Googling it.
It's like those. You've seen
That's
those.
called a boat shoe?
Yeah.
I feel like that is the worst shoe ever to get wet.
Michael Majors used to wear boat shoes a lot.
Okay. It looks like leather. Why would you wear leather shoes near water?
You're not getting in the water. You're on a boat. The boat keeps you out of the water.
Okay. So you're just like spitting in the face of God. I'll never get wet. I'm wearing these leather shoes on the boat.
That's just most of human history.
Okay. All right.
What do you think planes are?
Have you ever, do you know that we went to the moon?
Yeah. You think we were meant to go there?
Yeah, I don't think so.
But we did it anyway.
All right. Aaron Belsky going to deploy a couple 3-drops. The Bone Crusher Giant comes down and a Graveyard Trespasser. Suitable battlefield, but in the face of this Sky Sovereign, I can't imagine that Belsky is feeling very comfortable.
As long as we have some creature to crew the boat, and I think there's a Trespasser in Bruni's hand.
There's also a second Fable, so we could definitely just double pair it up to crew or whatever.
I like going, make a Trespasser crew boat, copy boat, attack with one of the boats.
That's so sick. No, boat's legendary.
Oh, it is legendary.
It's the Sky Sovereign console flagship, first of his name.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have known. It has a comma in its name.
That's true. All right, this thing's going to Zorp something. Going to kill Trespasser.
Okay.
We do have to discard. Ward his spell or ability.
Okay. Interesting that we want to hit that one first. I might have gone for the reflection. Maybe we have a better answer for that. So, Belsky trying to overwhelm the Sky Sovereign here. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it with Bruni sitting at a healthy 19 life.
All right.
But if Belsky can find one of his answers...
Yeah, Power Word Kill is a great answer for it.
Yeah, or the second Abrade.
Yeah. No call against commands for Belsky's side, right? Those are on Bruni's side, I think.
Yeah, no call against commands. Bruni's got 2K commands, 1 Abrade, Belsky on 2 Abrade. But we've already seen one of those Abrades earlier. Trade for a Goblin Shop.
All right, we're getting aggressive here. Belsky gonna make a copy of the Bone Crusher Giant, but we have the foil. Power Word Kill, 2 damage. Gonna come off the Bone Crusher Giant, but we're gonna stifle the copy.
And with no answer for boat here, things are pretty quickly unraveling for Belsky.
I'm in danger. All right, we have, I think it's a Reckoner Bankbuster in hand, but that pales in comparison to the power of Sky Sovereign once the game has entered the stage.
Yeah. Sky Sovereign is a boat, and Reckoner Bankbuster is not a boat.
No, it's a getaway car. It busted the bank open.
That is my expert analysis. Boats beat non-boats.
Boats beat Battlestar Galactica. All right, Aaron draws a card. He's going to look for either a land to play or a Fatal Push or something to interact. Doesn't find it. Still is daytime because we did play the Bankbuster. And now, back Bruni's way. You have to be feeling real good if you're Bruni. Active Sky Sovereign unchecked is devastating in these creature-based mid-range mirrors.
My Braid will trade for your great artifact. Every trade Bruni has made has been much better than the trades Belsky has made. All of his removal is lined up very well. And I'm not, it's not any fault of Belsky's. It's just the way the cards have been drawn here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good to know because sometimes your hand is forced, like in order to maintain board parity or to prevent like falling behind or preventing massive amounts of damage swings, you have to play those removal spells like Abrade when you can in spots where it's advantageous to clear the board. But if you are able to hold it for something more important like the Sky Sovereign, that's how you gain percentage points in the long game.
Yeah, this is, much less saying, not saying Belsky did anything wrong, but Bruni has done everything right. He has chosen the right removal spell at the right time, timed his threats well. and did it in a game where he was missing some early land drops, so his mana was choked. It was
All right.
very important for him to time all of his cards well, and there is the handshake.
All right, that is gonna be our champion Zine Bruni with Rakdos Midrange defeating Belsky with Rakdos Midrange as well. Both players putting up incredible results this weekend, both making the finals, both qualifying for the Dallas Regional Championship in the summertime, and both receiving a pretty hefty payday. I believe top 4 split, a couple $100 to everybody. Not a bad showing for a weekend, and they're going to be heading to the regional championship. Man.
Only Bruni gets to say he won this tournament, undefeated throughout. Decided to play out round 6 for seeding. When he didn't have to, won that round. Takes the overall number 1 seed, was on the play all throughout the top 8, and made great use of it, winning all of his matches on his way to the title. And that does mean he wins this very handsome Elish Norn pin and lanyard.
All right, let's zoom in. Let's take a look at it. Come back. We're back in the booth. This is the Elish Norn pin. Or are you sure this Elish Norn looks like Shoulder of the Apocalypse?
Is that shielded?
Yeah.
No, it's from...
Or that's a Traxa with the big old horns or whatever.
I don't know what anything is. I just assume everything's Elish Norn.
Yeah.
It's shielded?
It's shielded, yeah.
I don't know what anything looks like.
Classic. All right,
Why would it be shielded? Elish Norn was in this set. Shielded wasn't, although shielded is somehow in every opponent's draft deck that I play against on Arena.
Yeah.
Don't
How's
know
that
how-
feel?
yeah.
How's that feel playing against cards from 2 sets ago?
Yeah.
Just whooping your ass in the limited queue.
Not good. Not good, Todd.
All right, well, we're going to have our champion, Zine Bruni, come on in here. Thanks to Ultimate Guard, he also gets a couple of other cool products. Why don't you talk to the man? Come on over here, Zine.
Sure.
Either way. Sweet. All right, show off your swag pack.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks to Ultimate Guard.
Some Cortex sleeves,
Yeah.
this gigantic monstrosity of a deck box, the Omni Hive. This thing, if you look at this graphic, will hold a bunch of deck boxes to sort your collection that way. It can also hold a cube if you're interested in that. And Zine, you also get this very nice Shieldred, as I'm told. That's Shieldred.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Pin and lanyard for winning this regional championship qualifier.
makes sense with black red.
Yeah, very appropriate. I guess Wizards knew something we didn't.
That's great.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Undefeated throughout this tournament.
Yeah, not a single loss. Kind of wild.
Even chose to play out round 6 when you could have taken the draw for seeding, and it came in handy. You were on the play all throughout the top 8. I'm sure you were very happy to be on the play in that semi-final match.
Against Vern, huge. I mean, that's why I played the last round out, because play draw is so relevant in Pioneer. I mean, you can't miss that. I mean, if you get a chance to be on the play, got to take it. So.
And then in the finals in the Rakdos Mirror, less important to be on the play.
Correct.
But, really, we saw the power of that one of Sky Sovereign in your sideboard. You were unable to get it down in time in
Game two.
I
know, rough.
Still managed to squeak that one out and then took over game 3 with it. We were very happy. There were a lot of boat noises in this.
Yes, love the boat. And my opponent said he just cut it before this weekend too, which that's a tough beat. But
Well,
it was
fortunately for him, still qualified.
Oh yeah,
for the regional championship.
Good for everybody.
Yeah, is this going to be your first RC?
First qualification. Yeah, I've had some. I actually played in one about a month ago. I got second. It was a single slot, so that was pretty brutal.
I know that pain.
But I'm glad to battle back and actually get the invite this time.
Awesome. Well,
So,
congratulations on that. Wish you good luck at the regional championship this summer.
Appreciate it.
And as far as Rakdos Midrange, this choice for this tournament, is this a deck that you've been on for a while now, or something you've moved to recently?
So I was initially playing Is It Phoenix, but obviously that deck isn't very strong right now. Or it's fine, but I just don't think it's like tier 1 or enough to compete with some of the other what the other decks are doing and at the speed that they're doing it. Like the interaction, I don't feel is good enough. However, the black spells, like the discard, I think Liliana is great right now. I do set her out a decent amount, but I think she's great. And I also just saw that Shota, saw what he was playing Mutavault. Card has been an all-star for me. I know a lot of people like it's terrible in the mana base. I'm like, you play 22 black sources and 4 of the cards, 26 lands. You still get there. I think it did punch me a couple times, but Mutavault all-star the day.
Well worth it on the exchange, even if it does punish you.
Exactly, and it won me so many games. I mean, even the game that I was at 1 life in the finals, if I didn't have Mutavault there, he gives him an extra draw step. Maybe he finds a stomp, but Trespasser, I die. There's the clock is so relevant.
Tell him about the shoulder triggers.
Yeah. At the end of game 2?
Yeah, that's a cool thing to talk about.
Well, I mean, we noticed that at the end of that game, your opponent could have drawn, put the Shielder trigger on the stack, drawn with Reckoner Bank Buster, put the Shielder trigger on the stack. If they find a Bone Crusher Giant, they can stomp you
In
with the shoulder
response
triggers
to
on the
it.
attack.
Interesting.
I don't think they were going to find it, but that was something cool. But I want to go back to you mentioned Liliana of the Veil as being a card that you really like. Not a card that we've seen as often in Rakdos since its release when a lot of people tried it. What are the matchups that you're really looking for Liliana to shine it?
Honestly, the matchups that I want to, so traditionally you just want to go 1, 2, 3. I mean, that is the goal of the deck. The curve's really low, cut out a lot of the bulky like Chandras, the 4-mana Planeswalkers. I mean, it is really just a low to the ground deck, trying to get into play. So creature decks it's great against because you just play so many 2-drop removal spells. Like a lot of times if you have once again, it's so play drop dependent, but if you're on the play, you kill their 1 or 2 drop and then you just follow up with a Liliana, take that resource from them, you play out your spells, and then Liliana just kind of takes control of the game from there.
Yeah.
Really strong.
So do you often find yourself bringing Liliana out on the draw, regardless of the
Yes,
matchup?
I do take Liliana out on the draw. I will say in the burn or the Atarka Red matchup earlier today, you probably saw the one of Liliana.
Zachary Powers.
Was you probably like very odd. Why did he bring that in? Like why is that there? I was on the play for game 3, and the way I really just wanted to mulligan into a hand that went 1-drop removal spell, 2-drop stomp, 3-drop Liliana, and just because I was on the play and he was kind of going a little bit bigger, like he's trying to hold a Targus command, right, and try to go for that big turn. So or the
Bushwhacker.
Yes, that effect, just to try to like control the board enough where I can snag potentially one of those really powerful cards that just wins him the game, and also eating a creature while I'm doing it. And if Liliana takes like 2 or 3 damage, great. She did her job. She eated a creature, and she also takes the damage. So on the play, the one of came up huge.
Yeah, it was excellent in that game.
Huge, like absolutely crazy.
Yeah, really paid off to you, and that makes sense. I think the card definitely works a lot better on the play than it does on the draw. So,
agreed.
Once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Really impressive performance throughout this tournament to
Awesome.
go through it without a loss. And for a second time, good luck at the regional championship.
Thank you. I appreciate it.